Hello guys, and today I wanted to talk about something that is really not well known around. I wanted to talk about why video games are art. Um, and I decided to pick a game from every year and show how it moved forward instead of moving back from the beginning to end if you don't really know much about games. And if you do, this can be a refresher course in stuff like this. Okay, so let's start with the first one. 1972. It was when Pong was released on the Atari. And when you look at it, it was not much. It was like football, but if there was only two goalies. But for the time, that was amazing. It was never seen before. It made something new. It was kind of like a new page for electronics. People started to see how you can use them to have fun and not just for work. And the next year they released Space Race, and you can immediately see how they were trying to build on it by adding a lot of movement to the game, trying to make it more dynamic. In 1974, their tank was released, and also now they tried to make it more competitive, as people didn't really always have time to play in to I never always had two players, so they tried to make it a bit more competitive. Okay, I'm rambling. Um, 1975 is when Gunfight came out, and as you can see, it is also very competitive, very score based. Games took a bit of a weird turn at the beginning, where they were trying really to be like carnival games and stuff like that with all the scores and shit. But I'm glad that changed. And now in 1976, Breakout came out, and everybody knows Breakout. Breakout and Pong are like uh, really famous even today. I mean, Tank also is, but not as much. Breakout was also big score game. It is kind of reminiscent of Pong in a way. Um, it's very like mobile game. I can't really call it anything other. Then 1977, it was Zork, the first adventure game like ever in history, and it was really good. From what I hear, I never really played it because it was kind of like 40 years ago, but no, maybe I can get around to it. Then in 1978 we got Space Invaders, which is also very popular today, and it is mimicked a lot because it's of its simple concept and easy to play, and it's really fun. Now after Asteroid, Pac-Man came out. What do you say about Pac-Man? They use a lot of colors in Pac-Man, so it can be attractive to the eye, the ghosts, and all the other shit. But really, Pac-Man is Pac-Man. I can't describe it better than that. The next game is Donkey Kong, the original one. With the first appearance of Super Mario. It was also a really popular arcade game, a lot of high scores, a lot of friends were made in the arcades, um, like that. This is when games started to become experiences rather than entertainment, I guess. And yeah, and the next one is Dig Dug, which was also big on the score, but since it was more randomized, it was not as competitive. Um, then we have Dragon's Lair, which is the first time games went, as we will call it today, movie. So you can go fuck yourself, Telltale. They did it first. Dragon's Lair was really innovational for the time and still holds up today, weirdly. Next one is Tetris. You know, Mother Russia strong, everybody likes Tetris. Tetris is fun, Tetris is easy, but not too easy, and Tetris is iconic. You can't really say anything bad about Tetris. And 1985 brings us Super Mario Bros. Everybody knows Super Mario Bros. Your grandma knows Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. Are the best. Super Mario Bros. Have the biggest dick. Super Mario Bros. Is the best game. You know, you hear that a lot, but when you look at it, it was a great game. But it wasn't really a great experience, was it? You're just a fat boy jumping around and eating shrooms. The newer games really try to pick up on that, but they can't because the foundation is so little. 1986 is the first Legend of Zelda, and this is where the adventure comes in. You know, as Peanut Butter Gamer will say, adventure! And all the other stuff that come with it. It was a very big adventure, and to this day, Zelda games come out and are still adventures as always. So, the next one is Punch Out. Punch Out is a celebrity based game, which is unbelievable when you think about it because they all suck, except Punch Out. Punch Out did something that was unbelievable for the time. Punch Out built characters, and in 1987 that was really unheard of, and because of that Punch Out was instantly a classic and has made many more sequels. The one in 2011 I think is also amazing, but Punch Out and the characters in them really marked the start of good characters in video games. Um, then in 1988 we have Megaman 2, again with the characters. You know, people really started to take character and plot more seriously in games. And yeah, Megaman's great. The next one is Ducktales. Ducktales was kind of weird. It was made from a TV show originally, and it was also a great game. The remaster is awesome. It's got character, it's got adventure, it's got all the colors, all the points. This is probably the most well-rounded game so far. Then in 1990 come out Startropics. And you know, Ant Dude really likes them Startropics. But Startropics gave us a world to be in, an open world. And for the time, that was really amazing. The openness of it all, the islands, the travel, and everything. Remarkable. Um, After Startropics, we have Civilization 1. The sixth one came out a couple of months ago, I think, and Gandhi still wants to nuke everybody, so that's great. But the first one was a start of a great series. Really, I think the start of town building in general, nation building and stuff like that, and Gandhi, and it was really the only political game I can think about that early. The next one is Kirby's Dreamland 1992. Well, you know Kirby. Everybody, Kirby games, like last week there was a Kirby game. Kirby games come out all the time because the original was really good, and all of them are. Uh, they they decided to make their own world, which was awesome, and the characters in it, and really twisted everything that was known about the world. They made it their own, and you really had to study about the world to know it. 1993 brings us Doom, and the Doom isn't really for the story and the characters so much as for the action. The action was perfect, it was fast paced, it was responsive, it was scary, it was balanced, it was long, that's what she said, and really it was just a good first person shooter, and it was the mark for all to follow. People still try to copy Doom even today, and uh, you know, no, the basic part of Doom is always seen in literally every shoot around, but then they try to put their own spin of it on it, and that's pretty much how the first-person shooter modern one became what it is. 1994 brings us Earthbound, and as everybody knows, NES is actually Sans, but don't tell anybody. And Earthbound is one of those games that still holds up somehow. I don't know how, but it holds up. Go fucking play it. 1995 is Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. This is a game that used how do you call this? The real graphics, with the pictures and shit. And people call it the best platformer ever. I can't really argue with that because I'm not really big of a platformer guy, but I can really recognize the impact they made in literally every other platformer after that. So, the argument holds water. 1996, oh man, Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil. Resident Evil really made it all about the characters and the setting. The gameplay sucked fucking ass, but the setting alone carried it through. The mansion and the star members, the zombies, everything was mixed perfectly to make an experience that people will not forget ever. Like, I'm serious. 1997 Crash 2, the best Crash game. If you say Crash 3 is the best Crash game, you can go fuck yourself. The second one, it's kind of biased because I fucking love Crash, but the second one really made the player feel like he was in the world that he was in. That they really made it so you can experience everything in that game, from the ruins to the jungles to the frozen shit to the fucking space and factories, and everything was just so good and so well timed and iconic that with the Crash remaster people are still being super hype about it even like 10 years, 20 years later. So you can see what we'll expect something from the remaster, but we don't know what yet. 1998 is when Grim Fandango comes in, and Grim Fandango, I can't really explain Grim Fandango. It's just a story, and the game is around it. This is the first time that, well, not really the first time, but this is the best example of the story, of the game being built around the story, and it just works so magically. The world of Grim Fandango, I mean the underworld, is an amazing place filled with everything you can think of, and the characters and the dialogue, of course, are more than enough to carry this game into legend. 1999 is when Unreal Tournament comes out, and this is when games became competitive again. People were really starting to warm up to the idea of killing everybody, and you were really a bitch if you couldn't pass the last boss, and people played it all the time. There was a lot of clans, a lot of strategies, a lot of this, a lot of that. People don't really forget the original Unreal Tournament, as a lot of these games from the list, because it was unforgettable. It was something when that you would talk about every day, just Unreal Tournament this, Unreal Tournament that, and the experience was, even today, this game holds up again. Compared to the newer modern shooters, which suck fucking ass. Yeah, and the 2000s we have Jet Set Radio, a game that comes on this list purely because of its style. This has to be the most stylized game I have ever seen in my life. It has so much style that it is unbelievable that it has come out in 2000. The style is so original that, it's not original anymore because everybody fucking copies it. The cell shading, the colors, the gameplay, the idea, the everything is fresh as fuck. Boy. And yeah. 2001 we have the original Max Payne. I released my finger from the trigger, they were all dead. Max Payne 1 was something that I can't really explain. I don't know if anybody can explain what Max Payne 1 was. It was a shooting game, but the story was amazing. So that's what threw people for a loop. They expected to be just, shooting and explosions and the dicks, but what they got was an amazing story, deep characters, a plot that was, how do I say that? Fucking amazing, and they also got great voice acting. 2002 is when Vice City comes out, which is objectively looking the best GTA game. Uh, People are going to say, where the fuck is San Andreas? San Andreas is good. No, San Andreas is amazing. But Vice City was better at the time, because it really captured the place that it wanted to, and then it parodied it amazingly, making it its own, along with the characters and everything, the characters, the setting, the story, everything was twisted where they wanted them, and it is the mark of an amazing developer. Um, 2003 is when X Y Y Y I X 13 came out, and 13 is also a really stylish game. I also put it on this list because it holds up even today, because of the amazing development choices they made. The graphics, the gameplay were amazing, while the story was also a bit of a parody of James Bond, and they really tried to make it their own with the setting. Um, 2004 is when World of Warcraft came out. I can't believe it was that long ago. I remember it like yesterday. So all the Leroy Jenkins and the clans and the world and so many players, the bosses, everything. This is the first game that was like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play this non-stop. I mean, I hear people died because they wouldn't stop playing World of Warcraft. And, I can't really blame them. That game was the first game also that in which you can feel that you can just step into the world and forget about anything else. And this is amazing. Was a giant step for video games. Um, 2005 brings us Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is back, and Resident Evil is not only the best Resident Evil, but some people argue it might be the best game in the world. Now, I don't think it's the best game in the world, but I do think that a game that is so interesting that you can play through like 7 times in a row and still not get bored of is something amazing. Uh, Resident Evil 4 takes you into a setting that subverts your expectations, and it really makes it so that you do not know what is coming up next. Even if you have played the game, how many times? I don't know. You can play it 100 times, but the experience is still fresh, and it is something that hasn't been done since, I think. And that's why Resident Evil is praised by so many people. It's timeless. Next one is 2006 Bully. Now, Bully is just perfect. As Nerdcube said, Bully is the best game ever, and I do think that he might be right. Simply because this game, just like Resident Evil, never gets boring. But unlike Resident Evil, Bully doesn't really rely on the scripted parts. It relies on the organic world made by Rockstar that really makes everything real. Everything is there, all the people are people, the floor is the floor, and this game is perfect. 2007 we get Bioshock. Now Bioshock, as Michael Jones said, I know I'm quoting too many people, but sorry. Michael Jones said when he started up Bioshock for the first time, he said that he didn't move for 10 minutes because he didn't know that the cutscene ended. If I didn't hear him say that, I think I would have done the same thing. This game is really not... How can you explain it? When you read a book, a really good book, and then you imagine what is happening in the book. Well, when you're playing Bioshock, you imagine you imagine it like it's a book. You can't really grasp anything in that game. It's so mysterious, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, it makes you wonder even to the last minute, and after that, what just really happened. Its atmosphere is crushing, you can't breathe at some points. You're just standing there trying to think about it, but you can't. And after you let yourself go to the game, you realize that the experience is what drives this game. This game is an experience. This game is art. You don't think about it, you just enjoy it. 2008, we have Far Cry 2, which is the my most favorite. That my it's the I fucking love this game. This is my favorite game ever because it just drops you into Africa and it tells you to go fuck yourself. And now you're in Africa, you don't know what to do, everybody wants to kill you, you have malaria, there's a bullet stuck in your chest, there's a metal plate in your ribs, you're dying, there's friends, and then there's a jackal, he wants to break you, but he can't break you like a dog. You know, the way I look at Far Cry 2, it's more of a documentary about the not really Africa, but about wars, about how much bad wars do, about how opportunists can get away with stuff that normal people can't, about how war impacts the civilians and the country in general. If you go into Far Cry 2 trying to look for explosions and dicks and the 360 no scopes, you are going to find them, but you are going to overlook the meat of the game, which is really trying to fix the country as best as you can, which you fail, of course, because one man cannot fix a country, and that is a really brutal thing to do in a game, but it was realistic and it really moved me. 2009, Uncharted 2. Now, when it comes to Uncharted 2, it's the best game in the series. And the series as a whole tells the story about Nathan Drake, a man who begins as a treasure hunter, but then meets the girl of his dreams, and then they settle down. But then his long lost brother comes in and tries to make Nate abandon his happy life and go on one last adventure with him. And it's really something that you don't see in games. Is you see your character grow from game to game. You see him get older. You see him lose friends. You see him get friends. You really see him change as a person. And the whole experience is beautiful. It's like watching an album of pictures of somebody through the years, and it really stands on what it wants to stand, and it's an amazing game made by people who I believe have felt the things that Nate has felt, and so have I. Um, 2010 is Mafia 2. Mafia 2 decided to be like this. In Mafia 2, you're just a dude. That's it. You're a dude who made some bad decisions and then ended up in the mafia, and now he tries to live with it. It's a very realistic portrayal of the mob as far as I'm concerned. You know, I don't really know anybody from the mob, but I I assume that it's pretty realistic, and the whole experience, especially the characters, um, talk to each other like real characters. The city functions as a city. The bad guys aren't really bad guys, they're just other mobsters, just like you. So that really makes you ask yourself, why the fuck you are doing this? But then you realize that you can't stop because the mob doesn't let you out. And then you play the whole game thinking about what could have been. And this, I really think that this connects with a lot of people who have made bad decisions in their lives. And this is the kind of game that makes you want to change yourself as a person. And it's an amazing experience from start to finish. 2011 we have LA Noire, which is just like Mafia 2 but reversed. This makes you. This is about Cole Phelps, a policeman, a detective who tries to be the best he can, even though he knows that he isn't that good. This is about a man who tries, and in the end he dies. This game is about trying to about trying to teach you that even if you do the best you can, sometimes you will fail. And not a lot of games do that. Not a lot of things do that. Nobody ever says you can't do something. And I think it's very impressive that a game had the balls to go out and say you're a piece of shit and you can't do this, deal with it. And you know, a painting isn't going to tell you that, but really, let's be honest. You can't be super galactic president of the universe if you want to. That just isn't going to happen. And LA Noir makes you appreciate it is so honest in its execution. Um, and it really makes you change your point of view. 2012 we have Max Payne 3. Now Max is back, and Max has also, like Nathan Drake, changed, but not in a good way. With Max, we see the change from good to bad. He has demons from his life weighing him down and constantly can't catch a break. He went from being just a normal dude to being somebody who regrets everything in his life, and it really shows us how people can go downhill uh, little by little if they don't try to help themselves. And in the game, it is about Max trying to get redemption, but it ends up being too little too late. And also it is brutally honest, just like the two last games. And overall a great learning experience to everybody who thinks that they have hit rock bottom. And 2013 is when Dead Island Riptide comes out. Um, I know this is going to be a controversial decision, but Dead Island is fucking awesome. Because Dead Island is what Walking Dead tried to do. Dead Island makes you afraid of everything. Dead Island makes you question everything. Dead Island puts you in a setting and it says trust yourself and fuck everybody else. And the game is really suited to that because when you are alone in the middle of zombies and you have a baseball bat and you're hitting zombies and it breaks, you don't know what you're going to do. You see a dude in the distance, but you're scared to go to him because he's probably going to shoot you. And that's a great dilemma because again, the world isn't all sunshine and lollipops. Sometimes there is no way out. And with Dead Island, it makes you really question everything that you are about to do. Mm, 2014. Murdered Soul Suspect. This is a game about fucking Casper who tries to figure out who killed him. And keeping up with the depressing game vibes, this is also something that is really sad because when you think about it, when somebody kills you, that's it. You're done. They won. But this game tries to give you a little bit of hope in pretending that you are fucking Casper and then you can solve your own murder. And you know, I think that's good because hope dies last, I guess. 2015 is Until Dawn. And when I saw Until Dawn for the first time, I couldn't believe it. Because it really wasn't anything like I saw before. It was a game, but it wasn't really a game, a movie. It was a game that knew that it was a game and it made use of that. It made the game parts a game, and the character and settings, the world, they made it their own thing. Especially the characters. The characters are, well, how can I explain them? They're real. The characters are real. The world is real. But the game isn't real. You know what I'm trying to say? They really made it at a disconnect from everything I have ever seen before from a game. Um, the story, I don't want to spoil it, it's kind of a newer game still. But the story is deliberately bad so that you can focus more on the characters and the setting. And yeah, the character's fucking amazing. Like, not, I'm serious. The best characters I have ever seen. I wouldn't even call them characters. 2016, we have Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is a real weird little thing. You know, Darkest Dungeon tells you your uncle died, fucking killed himself, and he left you this estate. Go to it. And you know, when you read about it the first time, it's kind of like, okay, generic plot, monsters, let's go. But again, I don't want to spoil the ending. It is something that is far worse. And how many times, even how many times you try to beat, like conquer the evil, you just can't. It happens over and over and over again. You can even die in the tutorial. That's how messed up this game is. It throws you in, it tells you go fuck yourself, and then when you beat it, it also tells you to go fuck yourself. And I know this is depressing, but No, we need something depressing here and there. Not everything is perfect. Art is there to show us that anything can be possible, even bad things, especially the bad things. And yeah, 2017 is not done yet, so I don't know what game I would put here. But as of now, the new Zelda is pretty much, I think, the best one because it really comes back with the adventure and the feeling of being alone in the world and trying to help yourself and others. This is this was the why games are art and why people really need to start playing more games. And yes, that's it. I'm kind of mad that I didn't have any place to put Call of Duty at, but you know, Call of Duty isn't really a deep game. I just like it. It's silly, silly Billy. Um, yeah, that's it. See you tomorrow, I guess.